The year is 2013. A little series called Love Life has had their first anime season premiered, bringing in a ton of new fans, but it doesn't stop just there. This franchise has had years to flesh out its content, so they burst out of the wall with not only an anime, but a free-to-play rhythm game that was also released in 2013 called School Idol Festival. Flash forward a year later, this game gets a global release, and if you thought Love Life wasn't big before, you were in hell. Idol hell. The game goes ballistic. Its fanbase increases not only in Japan, but worldwide as well. And in the midst of the fanbase growing more and more, a movie is made. How's that for a recap? Love Life, the multimedia idol series, needs no further introduction, especially today, when it's had a large amount of famous memes that you may or may not recognize. Sure, you might not know it was from Love Life, but it was. Yup. Despite this series being alive for over a decade, with it spanning over multiple groups, anime seasons, and movies, it's definitely had its highs and lows. Sometimes things get popular, and then naturally over time it gets less popular. You know, things come and go. And I actually did talk about it in the video a long time ago, but it's sort of outdated, don't watch it. What I'm saying though is that Love Life, like any other series, had a moment when it reached its peak in many people's eyes. The feeling of being fed perfectly, having the right amount of content, and seeing it everywhere in a moderate amount depending on the spaces you travel around. Many Love Life fans will detail 2018 to 2019 to be the peak of Love Life. And you can make a lot of points for that, especially with many of the activities Love Life was up to around this time. But I think the first peak that many will agree with is 2015 to 2016. Now, full disclaimer, I did not join Love Life in 2016. I joined the series in late 2018, so all of what I'll be discussing here is from my own research, along with many interviews which you'll see later. There was a lot of research that had to be done. Obviously, just because I wasn't there doesn't mean I can't talk about it, but I do have to approach it from the mind of an outsider. Since I did make a ton of other Love Life videos that go into its past, I won't be extensively going into the history of the series, but if you are interested, feel free to take a glance at the other videos I made to be caught up. Straight to the point though, Love Life was incredibly smart with how they did their series. The fall into the Love Life sphere, or Idol Hell as it was infamously named, was entirely purposeful. Love Life had a TV show, it had a free mobile rhythm game with cards filled with amazing outfits and designs, and these different pieces of media would connect with one another to the point it only made sense to consume what you were lacking. Songs you played on School Idol Festival originally appeared in the anime, so you gotta watch the anime to get the context of the song. I know that sounds surface level, and a lot of things I say are surface level, but if it works, and it should be commended nonetheless. This kind of connecting one piece to another directly created Idol Hell, which has a different definition depending on who you ask. Many people interpret it as like the circles of hell, with each aspect of Love Life going deeper and deeper as you fall into it. First, you'll spend money for the SIF cards, then you're buying nests of merch, and then going to see the live concerts. It helped that every aspect was done to forcefully brainwash you into the series. The anime was probably the best part of this, as it's actually a really good show. The characters are likable, the songs are good, the CGI is something, but it's all done on purpose to be like, if you like this, you may like this. Advertising, in other words. That is a great way to introduce how smart Love Life was, and it paid off. It was everywhere. I know I kind of over-exaggerated since, you know, I'm inherently biased by being both a Love Life fan and interviewing Love Life fans about how Love Life was like back then, but it definitely had attention put onto it. With the interviews I've done with people who were around during those times, it was at a point where anyone would recognize a character in the series, specifically Nico. In cosplay and conventions, it was extremely prevalent, to the point whenever I see old convention photos of the 2010s, I see people commenting on how fondly they remember Love Life, and I really fucking wish I had that one TikTok on me that was literally just that. But that's just a showcase how big it was in the 2010s. I put all that blame on SIF, by the way. The impact of that game with the costumes and cards and gameplay literally carried Love Life for a really long time, and the more research I do on it, the more I realize how integral it was to the Love Life franchise. Now we can have a conversation about the Love Life franchise today and all that jazz, you know, hashtag please make SIF free, but you know, that's being a dead horse. Go watch my other videos, don't. Today, we're taking a trip back in time to when Love Life was just about to blow into its peak popularity, and how it captured lightning in the bottle when it released its first movie, the School Idol movie. They really touted that, didn't they? Let's set the scene. I'm gonna be rehashing some of the points I said in the intro, but Love Life was huge. Before the movie even came out, there were articles detailing Idol Hell and how they themselves fell into it. Love Life had motion, both in Japan and worldwide. Anime Expo was premiering their lives. What the shit, bro? In conventions as well, they were booming. It was school idols all around. I know conventions aren't exactly the most engaging topic, but I go to conventions, and I know a lot of friends that used to go to conventions a long ass time ago, and they can vouch for how big Love Life was in those spaces. The thing was, it felt extremely deserved. The history of Love Life is pretty common knowledge, but that's coming from someone who's made too many Love Life videos. They started out with some of the poorest sales imaginable, so seeing them get to this level is the classic underdog storyline that a ton of people, myself included, love. It was something that was in the right place at the right time, and I don't think you can really replicate a boom like that, which makes researching it all the more interesting. Japanese culture had been allegedly spreading across the world during this time. And I say allegedly, as you know, I was saying goo goo gaga when this stuff was happening. I mean, if you do want a primary example of the spread of Japanese culture, we could talk about anime, video games being localized over here, but you know, that's out of my knowledge sphere. As per every video that talks about a time that I was not there for, unfortunately, I had to go hit up some local Love Life fans like it was a Yakuza filler chapter. It was kinda crazy on the influence Love Life had when it came to how it captivated people. Some people were so captivated on Sif and didn't really touch the other aspects, but it was okay because Sif was able to be held up on its own. Some just touched the anime and that was good enough for them. It gave me the idea that no matter what avenue you dropped yourself into with Love Life, you were gonna be satisfied no matter what. Even if Love Life was trying to push people into the multimedia sphere. Like, think of it this way. Imagine you were only interested in Sif and didn't really watch the anime. Well, it doesn't really matter if you don't watch the anime, because when the anime premieres, guess what gives Love Life? More songs and more outfits. And what happens to those outfits and songs? Well, they get put into Sif, so it creates a cycle of flowing content. That's just one example of how Love Life was wrapping you around their little fingers. It gave fans a lot to talk about. One person I interviewed in particular, Alex, made some lifelong friends due to Love Life, in the forums that I created to discuss it. And I'll admit, I'm slightly exaggerating just how big things really were for Love Life. It didn't pop out of nowhere. It took months from when the anime season premiered to when the games got published, even longer with the global versions. And of course, gotta separate the Japanese fan base from the global fan base, but I think this is one of the few times I can actually combine the two because of how much is going on. When the series began getting traction, that's when the magic truly started. February 1st, 2015. A 30-second teaser is uploaded onto the Atlantis channel, giving us our first key visual for the film, with the performance we now know as Angelic Angel. One of the immediate things people noticed was the animation, and how it looked better in massive quotes there. Hoshino from Idol Story talked about this, and when rewatching it, yeah, I can honestly see an improvement in the CGI, so I'm not too surprised it got noticed. While this teaser was uploaded on February 1st, the movie was already known to exist with the ending of the second season of Skull the Project teasing it. We did later get an official announcement and the release date for it, June 13th. An extended trailer was later released on April 24th, 2015, revealing more details about the plot. Fans were immediately able to decipher the fact that the cast of Muse was going to be heading to New York, bringing in new concepts such as the concept of New York City, a very foreign subject. The movie was building up hype, doing the usual thing that all movies do, but let me bring up something interesting. During my research, whenever I attempt to find an article detailing how someone globally got into Love Life, it's usually around the 2015 area. I mean, that makes sense. That's when Love Life really got its foot on the ground in a ton of aspects, and it was just around that time period that the people who got into Love Life when it came overseas were starting to spread it around and be like, yo, have you heard of this idol shit? That's not surprising to me. Stuff like that happens all the time, no matter the time period. What's surprising to me, and I'm sorry I'm being the dead horse, is how Love Life took note of this and really tried to captivate as many people as they could. Close to the release date for the Squad movie in Japan, release dates for other countries worldwide were announced, allowing overseas fans to experience the movie just a couple months after Japan. So our news states this wasn't a regular thing at the time, as usually anime movies that are premiered in Japan get sent straight to DVD. And not only that, they often take a while, using When Marnie Was There as an example. Nowadays, anime movies are likely to get premiered in theaters more often, especially with the big guns, but even smaller ones get some time to spotlight from my own experience. So for Love Life to make this move is telling, and this would only work if they knew their spread across the world was guaranteed, which it was. But it doesn't stop just there. You can tell Love Life want people to sit their ass down and watch the movie in theaters, because on the official Love Life website, they made summary videos recapping the 2 anime seasons so people could get caught up. And this was purely for the overseas fanbase, by the way, because they were released after the movie already premiered in Japan, had English subtitles, and also outright said in the description. This one detail in the first season has 1 million views, and being clear, there's even a 3-minute summary video just to get people caught up if you're too lazy. Nowadays, we have like 20 million AniTubers that'll do the job for you, but it's so interesting seeing a company do this. You can tell they had a lot of faith in this movie overseas. They even got the seiyus all together to start advertising it. And I think I can imagine what Love Life was thinking when all of this was happening. They had just planned out a movie, and they're realizing that their overseas audience is growing bigger than expected. You have all those fans building up, what the hell are you gonna use them for? Are you just gonna have them keep doing what they're doing, playing Sif daily, making memes and shit? How about making a really big angle? Something to make every fan, no matter what they're in the series for, to be like, oh shit, I joined at the right time. That is the best feeling a fan can have. and it's a similar experience I had with Uma Musume, although in that one's case it was a sheer abundance of content already being present that made it feel like the best time to jump in. It's really one of those things where it feels like a product of its time. And I only really feel like mentioning it here because don't fake it, the fuck I thought about it. Well, when the movie came out, it did amazing in Japan, and did pretty well in America and other countries, I think. The budget for this movie was never fully revealed, but it definitely gained a sizable profit. This Japanese wiki gets a bit more detail of the revenue it made, along with making note of the fans that kept rewatching the movie over and over. There's a good reason the movie did so well. It ended Muse's story, had banger songs, and spawned a trend of so many cosplay groups during Angelic Angel. Oh wait, I actually gotta talk about the movie. This video is about that. Oh damn. Okay, so I actually already did a review / summary of the School Idol movie when I talked about it 3 years ago in a very old video. Don't watch it, it was long before I started doing all this YouTube stuff formally, so let's do a round 2 on this. This isn't gonna be a beat for beat summary, but more so discovering themes and why the movie exists in the first place. You know, besides making money. On a surface level, the School Idol movie follows immediately after the events of the second season of the anime, where Hanyo figures out that the Love Life competition is set to be held in the Tokyo Dome. While they've already decided to disband once the third years graduate, they don't hesitate on taking this opportunity, and it gets even better as the people behind Love Life, recognizing the status of Muse in the second season, want them to help spread the word of Love Life. How do they want them to do that? Simple, head to New York and do a cool performance or something. They do the performance, head back to Japan like usual, but soon realize that said performance was so successful, they become celebrities, leading many people to wonder what Muse is gonna do next, unaware that they're already planning to disband. This causes a bit of a conflict within the group on what they should do, as you can still be an idol after you graduate, just not a school one. After some thinking though, they decide to officially go with disbanding, but not without holding one last performance to celebrate school idols as a whole. And as the new school year rolls around, we get to see Muse's true last performance, Bokutachi wa Hitotsu no Hikari. Alright, now that that's established, let's go a bit more deep into it. I mean, I can talk about how pretty the movie looks, the songs are really good, the character interactions are on point, but let's go deeper. Obviously, a big message or question that's brought up in the movie is the disbandment of Muse. It's something that was already discussed and decided at the end of the second season, but it's given more prominence as we reach that ending point. Even before they perform Angelic Angel and become celebrities, Honoka, the leader, is already conflicted with how she wants to go about Muse ending. Throughout the story, she's given 3 major events to help her navigate through this decision. The mysterious singer who definitely isn't future Honoka, her talk with Tsubasa, and the performance of Angelic Angel. Being real, future Honoka is most likely a hallucination / Honoka's internal thoughts, but let's just take it at face value, man. Future Honoka talks about how she was also part of a group once, and how they disbanded after many events. When Honoka asks her what happened after everyone left, all future Honoka has to say is, what were they singing for? Why did they do what they do? Which, being frank, answering a question with a question is kind of a dick move. Going to a real human-to-human conversation, Honoka's talk with Tsubasa is another major event, leading her down a potential path that can still have everyone together. Tsubasa's group A-Rise have already decided to pursue an idol career even if they're no longer students, showing that if they want to, they could just continue, as if that conversation never happened. This decision wouldn't be an issue if another major event, Angelic Angel, never happened and caused Muse to be the celebrity they became. It definitely feels meta with how the plot showcases Muse's popularity, sort of mimicking how Love Life blew up worldwide around the time of this movie. I personally think it's entirely purposeful, and with that mindset, more parts in the movie have a way more sentimental value to it. The posters plastered everywhere being actual Love Life posters that were made, the overseas moments acknowledging foreign fans, it really provides a direct connection to its fan base, which is something Love Life won't be lacking for a while. However, when you have this perspective, certain moments have a lot more presence. A lot of focus is put onto the disbandment of Muse, covering all the possibilities and why this was the decision they came to. How Muse wasn't just a school idol group, but something that meant more. A group that was created to save their school, one that didn't back down even when not a single person appeared at their first performance. Almost mimicking how its real-life counterpart went. I mean, we know why this was done, but we'll leave that on the side for later. This movie wants to celebrate not just Muse, but school idols as a whole. It feels representative of the time period, capturing that big boom when Love Life was just beginning to explode around the world. Even if you weren't there when all this was taking place, it simulates how it felt, and that's honestly a really great achievement. It's a movie for Love Life fans. You know who these people are, you know their goals, and we're here to give you one last adventure with them, and they do such a good job with it. There's a sense of finality with every song and moment that takes place. Little moments, like Rin and Hanyo talking to each other while in New York, the entire performance of Angelic Angel. While not all the characters have a defining arc, some don't need to. They already got the development, so we really get to see these characters when they've done what they wanted to do. adding even more of a feeling that this is all coming to an end. And this all culminates in their final song, Bokutachi wa Hitotsu no Hikari. Now this song has a lot of meaning within it, with the most obvious one being the lyrics. Even if you don't know Japanese, you will obviously know the callbacks via the names of the Muse members being inserted into the lyrics. It's a very beautiful way of connecting every single one of Muse to the song, and who am I kidding? You probably heard this shit before years ago when the movie first came out, so I won't shout it in your ear when the first words you hear from the song or Hanukkah. Shouts to Blinkwinkle though for this very cool connection he made in this Tumblr. So, I think the movie's pretty good, as you most likely do, but what did other people think about it? Well, they felt it was good, go figure. I want to give a shout to Reddit for archiving 10-year-old forums along with the many people who helped me understanding what Love Life was like around the time of the movie. A lot of people enjoyed the movie, its emotional beats, and while some took issue with how the movie was paced, especially with how songs randomly got inserted in, it was something that left many fans satisfied. Talking to Blink and Alex also let me know about the many cool bonuses that were around when the movie was premiering overseas. Apparently, there were shikshis of the Muse cast that would be randomly given to people who watched the movie. It was very common for many Love Livers to switch and trade to get their best girl, and from what I gathered, it seemed to be a nice community event. For some, they didn't really know IRL Love Life fans, so seeing them all packed together for one event must have been memorable, and who knows, might have spawned a lifelong friendship since it's been like, 10 years now. For the San Francisco location, apparently there was heavy demand for the sequel of the movie as it was only shown for one weekend, leading there to be lines one after the other after every screening, which is actually crazy. But I don't know the inflation of San Francisco, so maybe that's normal. Social media, from what I gathered and can naturally assume, was the primary place for Love Life fans. Fans met together, and it was back then that Tumblr was actually used. Yes, Tumblr. Blink had some famous posts made regarding the Love Life movie, and one of the people I talked to, Meg, helped with really showing how much Love Life thrived on there. When you start to read all of this, you really get the idea on how a lot of people felt and what Muse meant to them. Okay, but being real, even though the movie was received well, there was this one review I need to mention. Alpharia has mentioned this review multiple times, but I need to mention it as well. Basically, Arizona Central had someone unironically watch the sequel of the movie for a review, and it is one of the most funniest things ever. It really does point out some genuine flaws, like how this movie can't be watched by a non-Love Life fan, but it is so fun that they even tried reviewing this movie. They criticized the color palette, animation, pacing, which does have some validity, but it gets to a point where it's not even worth reading anymore. If it was me, I would have just walked out that theater at some point. Besides that though, the movie was pretty good. The movie came out, did well, and Muse would live a long and happy life until, wait. We're forgetting something. Now I can't build up suspense since you guys already know what happened, but for the sake of the video, let's pretend we're all stupid. I've been neglecting one aspect of the movie, the aftermath of it, and the announcement. The movie focusing on disbandment of Muse was a very emotional plot point, and I guess it was done for a little foreshadowing because on December 4th, 2015, almost half a year since the movie premiered in Japan, Muse's final live was announced, confirming that Muse was not only going to be gone in the anime, but was also going to be gone in real life. Their activities, such as performances and songs, would cease. But they would still be alive and stiff, and Steve anyway. A part of me was curious on how people reacted / felt with Muse's disbandment after watching the movie, but not a lot of people were in the Seiyu stage at this point, which makes sense. It only hit them a little bit afterwards when Muse stopped doing new songs and the like. The topic of Muse disbanding is something that could be its own video, and has been done actually, but the movie did help with sort of creating the idea that Muse was going to leave soon. A big part of Muse's final live was focused on the movie songs, creating some of the most emotional moments in the entire franchise. They genuinely brought the big guns for this, and as an enjoyer of the movie, I love seeing the outfits in real life. But then, after all of it was said and done, it was over. Muse was over, both in fiction and in real life. If you didn't even touch the real life stuff, you would still know Muse is gone because of the movie, which helps cement the fact it was truly over. And I've always liked how Love Life did that, making sure everyone is on the same page. No matter what aspect of Love Life you were into, you knew what happened, as almost all areas of Love Life were affected by it. And let's be real, Muse was already set to die, it's pretty well known they were not gonna last that long, so I really appreciate Love Life wanting to cover all the grounds and end it with a bang before they, retired. The groundwork for the sequel movie didn't just end there, as Love Life has had a multitude of movies now. Over the Rainbow, the Nijigasaki trilogy, while not all the same, they still follow many formulas, such as the cast going to different locations to show the higher budget they have. These movies definitely have a different tone and vibe though, as their groups continued far past the movie unlike Muse. At least I hope. Nijigasaki, please do not disband at the third movie, I swear. So in conclusion, hold up! You thought this video was over, didn't you? I thought so too, until I realized I forgot to mention something. Whenever I talk about the sequel of the movie either in videos or streams, I have to mention, Stars Come to Me. For those unaware, when the sequel of the movie premiered overseas, the song As Time Goes By, sung by Future Honoka, was replaced by an instrumental version, most likely due to copyright As Time Goes By as an actual song, a very old one at that. Pretty clear cut. However, When the movie got a dubbed version with its physical release, As Time Goes By was entirely replaced by a different song, this song being Stars Come to Me. This song was only made for the dubbed version, and it contains many mysteries. Firstly, it's not on the soundtrack, meaning there's no official clean version that's been released. Secondly, the song is sung by the same one for As Time Goes By, so there was some communication with the Japanese cast in some sort of way. This song is not talked about that often, and for the better part of almost 3 years, I've made videos and shorts and discussions talking about the mystery of this song. From my research so far, there hasn't been any official statement on the song. It's not unusual for a song to be replaced, different versions, copyright and stuff like that, but to be replaced with another song that's sung by the same person for a dubbed version, it's weird. I talked to Hoshino about this, and she also assumed it was due to copyright, and she found a Japanese wiki that also supported this notion. The wiki even reaffirms it's not on the Japanese soundtrack, and suggests to look at the Blu-ray dub version of the score of the movie to see if they have it. I actually tried getting in contact with some of the people who had the score of the movie Blu-ray disc dub, and unfortunately, no soundtrack there, so there's no clean audio file of the song. I've been thinking about this for years, and wanted to reignite discussion of this. If any of you know anything about the song, please let me know. I don't care if we got a break in the Love Life headquarters or something, the truth must be discovered. Well, I hope you learned something today. I sure have. And it's really fun researching the older parts of Love Life history, and I hope you were immersed as I was when both writing and editing this video. There's a lot of things that slip under the radar, so if you have any extra info, feel free to comment down below. But that's just a glimpse of how it was like when the first School Auto movie released. Truly an era of a time that won't ever be recreated again. I mean, I wasn't there, so it wasn't really accurate, but I tried, man. And the fact that it's been over 10 years since it all happened. Like, I was like 10 making Minecraft videos when all this was happening, so I really don't got much to say. But hey, if you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. I do make Love Life videos occasionally, and I do have a whole playlist of them that some people forget that I have, but yep, maybe put it right here, Love Life videos. Definitely have more in stock, but yeah, this is one of your first videos of me. Then, yeah, I'm Noodle. I make Love Life videos occasionally, because I like the series. Type shit, 6-7. Okay, just end the video.